The Brady Bunch cast won the hearts of America with their poignant family relationships, groovy 1970s style, and timeless life lessons. Has a show ever been as wholesome, precious, and widely loved? As it turns out, the real-life Bradys weren't so wholesome after all. Behind the scenes, the TV family was embroiled in addiction and anguish that was frequently at odds with their carefully crafted image. So, today, we're taking a deep dive into the real tragedies behind the scenes of the Brady Bunch cast. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel. After that, leave a comment and let us know what other TV shows you would like to hear about. All right, fam, here's the story of a family named Brady. Maureen McCormick, who played the oldest Brady daughter, Marcia, was extremely troubled by the pressure of Hollywood and began abusing drugs to cope with a disturbing family secret. According to her memoir, Here's the Story, Surviving Marcia Brady and Finding My True Voice, the actress was deeply disturbed after discovering that her grandmother had perished in a mental institution after contracting syphilis. McCormick's mother was treated and never passed the disease on to her children, but the shocking discovery pushed her anxiety and depression to the breaking point. McCormick wrote, "I sought refuge in seemingly glamorous cocaine dens above Hollywood. I thought I would find answers there, when in reality, I was simply running farther from myself. From there, I spiraled downward on a path of self-destruction that cost me my career and very nearly my life." The addiction began to affect her career. She wouldn't sleep for days and turned up to important meetings under the influence. She lost numerous opportunities, including a potential part in Raiders of the Lost Ark. McCormick was so out of sorts during that particular meeting that director Steven Spielberg simply gave her an orange and called it a day. She later admitted that her addiction was so severe during this time that she would regularly go for days without sleeping. "If there was I had to stay up and do every last flake, even if it meant going without sleep for days. Nothing else mattered." Additionally, McCormick terminated 3 pregnancies by age 21, which she also attributes to her severe addiction. Sadly, the pressures of Hollywood didn't just leave the eldest Brady daughter with a drug problem. She developed bulimia in an attempt to keep the perfect figure for which her character was known. McCormick's struggle was largely suffered in silence and kept behind closed doors. Actor Barry Williams, who played Greg Brady, was infatuated with his co-star and TV mom, Florence Henderson, who was 20 years his senior. As he later wrote in his memoir, "Growing up, Brady, I was a teenage Greg. When those little things called hormones start kicking in," he wrote in his memoir, "you get excited even by inanimate objects. That's not exactly a compliment, Barry." The actor also clarified that his feelings toward his TV mom were nothing more than a harmless crush, and that he just wanted to spend time with her. Well, at least she was animate. The married actress and mom of 4 eventually humored the teen and went out with him to dinner. His older brother drove because Williams was too young to drive. Henderson later addressed the issue on her website, writing that the whole thing got blown way out of proportion, but that she is glad it has made for a good story. Later in life, Williams started an affair with his on-screen sister while the show was filming in Hawaii, because Greg Brady was apparently insatiable. Maureen McCormick, who played the eldest Brady sister, Marcia, detailed the relationship in her memoir. "We couldn't hold back any longer," she wrote. "It was our first kiss. A part of me, a tiny part admittedly, said to myself, 'Oh my God, I'm kissing my brother.' As it turns out, it's still pretty weird dating your on-screen brother, even if you're not actually related. So less Brady Bunch, more Game of Thrones." It wasn't just Marcia and Greg who had a scandalous relationship on the Brady Bunch. The 2 younger siblings had an equally wild dalliance. Christopher Knight, who played Peter, was absolutely enamored with his on-screen younger sister, Susan Olsen, who played Cindy, at least until Eve Plum, who played Jan, started blossoming as an adolescent. Olsen even joked in an on-screen interview that Plum stole Knight away from her. Classic sibling rivalry. Things eventually came to a head when Knight took Plum out in his pickup truck and just happened to have candles, a six-pack, and blankets in the flatbed. Knight parked under the stars and the pair settled in for a romantic night. Unfortunately for them, they were soon interrupted by the police, who promptly put an end to their little rendezvous. Mike Lookinland, who played the youngest Brady brother, Bobby, didn't emerge from Hollywood unscathed either. The young actor developed alcoholism after making up for lost time. "The problem for me was I lived my childhood in my 20s. He said on an episode of Oprah, Where Are They Now? "You should really try to live your childhood when you're a child, because if you do it when you're 26, it can be dangerous." Eventually, Look and Land sobered up when he realized he was on the brink of death. After 20 years in film production, the actor removed himself from the industry altogether and lives a quiet life with his family while perfecting the art of concrete countertops. As he said on that Oprah show, "When it became clear that the choice wasn't between sobering up or drinking, but the choice was actually between living or dying, then it became a simple choice for me." Oprah's magic can't be denied. Greg Brady was known for his squeaky clean image on screen. The kind of kid who would eventually succumb to peer pressure and smoke a single scandalous cigarette. This was nothing like the Greg Brady off-screen. In real life, Barry Williams had been smoking since he was 12 years old. And not just tobacco. The oldest Brady boy definitely dabbled in the devil's lettuce, much to the dismay of producers. Williams went to set only high once, but it was disruptive enough that the episode had to be rewritten to reduce his participation. The episode in question was Law and Disorder. And Williams thought he had the day off from filming, but was called into the Paramount lot at the last minute. The 17-year-old actor showed up high, glassy-eyed, and smiling. If you look close enough at the footage, you can see him holding in stoned laughter. While Susan Olsen never dabbled in drug use during her time on the show, the actress admitted that she became something of a dealer later in life. Olsen started growing marijuana with her husband, which was illegal in the state of California at the time. When asked about her rumored history as a weed dealer, the actress more or less owned up during an interview with Australian News, stating that, "It was my husband's idea. It was really fascinating, and I've always been into gardening, and it's such a complicated, wonderful, fascinating plant." Yeah, you became a dealer because it was a fascinating plant. Okay. Robert Reed, who played Mike Brady, remained in the closet for most of his life and struggled with his identity as a gay man. According to Susan Olsen, who played his on-screen daughter Cindy, having to hide a part of himself was detrimental to his health. She wrote, "Because it was so taboo, he could never make peace with himself. He never allowed himself to have a genuine love. Had he been allowed to form a relationship with another man, he would have been the best husband ever and still might be alive." Sadly, Reed, who was HIV positive, succumbed to cancer in 1992 at the age of 59. You've probably heard your fair share of dark Hollywood rumors. Maybe you've even heard the one about one of the Brady Bunch cast members tragically passing away during the first season and being replaced with a double. Well, get ready to feel your spine tingle, because that particular rumor is actually true. The tiniest Brady was tragically killed and replaced with an untrained lookalike. No, not Cindy. We mean Tiger, the family dog. The real Tiger got hit by a car in the middle of filming the first season. Not knowing what to do, the dog's grieving trainer stopped by a pound on the way to set and picked up a lookalike. Listen, you don't walk away from a TV contract just because of some minor details. But the ruse didn't work for long. The untrained rescue wouldn't follow directions, and eventually producers nailed his collar to the ground to keep him in place during shots. They finally ditched Tiger altogether, unless he was essential to the plot. So even though you can see Tiger's doghouse in pretty much every episode, Tiger himself only appears in a select few. Wonder if Greg ever took him out. So what do you think? Can you ever watch the Brady Bunch again? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from our weird history.